Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
The following should be heard and understood by all that take for granted the sacrifices that were given for all of us. Today marks the 73rd anniversary of D-Day. On this D-Day anniversary, we celebrate exceptional American bravery that changed the world. Hundreds of thousands of Allied troops, many too young to even vote, stormed the beaches of Normandy in defense of freedom. Over 4,000 men lost their lives in this battle so that we could enjoy the freedoms we still have today. These brave men, many of them teenage boys, had their whole lives ahead of them, yet gave it all in defense of those who would never know us. God bless them all, and thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, change this morning in our program structure because I think with D-Day and the honoring of American bravery, at this time, our national anthem.
The anthem, produced by David Foster, will be signed for the hearing impaired by Atlanta's Briar Lake Signing Choir and will be sung by award-winning recording artist Faith Hill.
National anthem on D-Day. Thank you very much, Wheels, at our studio. Right now, this is Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with our great advertisers, such as Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call 734-6969. And right now, without further ado, let's go with our Pledge of Allegiance. Do we have a caller this morning, Wheels?
No, sir, but I would love to do it this morning.
I would be honored to have you. Go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very well done, young man. I appreciate it, Wheels. You've been a big, great assistant over there. I appreciate it. Right now, it's time for the weather, and the weather brought to you by K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. Number to call, 678-3122. And they're open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., Saturday, 7 to 2. Roger and the whole crew serving you since 1979. We'll tell you more in a minute. Right now, here's the weather.
Going to be warm for today and tomorrow, but as we get closer to the weekend, looks like we have a cooling trend. Looks like mostly sunny skies for today, high of 89 with an overnight low of 57. Sunny and 92 for tomorrow with an overnight low of 57. Partly cloudy, 86 for Thursday. By Friday, we do have a 50% chance of rain showers in the forecast. Winds are going to be picking up, high of 70 with an overnight low of 46. Then for the weekend, looks like partly to mostly cloudy skies. Highs are going to be in the mid-60s. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Gina, thank you very much. And don't forget K&R Rental, our weather sponsor, bright and early when we kick off the program. If you need equipment and tools but don't want to buy them, go to K&R Rental. They've got everything from forklifts all the way to lawnmowers. And they'll deliver and pick up the power tools and heavy equipment, too, right at your site. They have been in business since 1979. They know what's going on and how to help you. K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn, 678-3122. Get a hold of them today. Morning, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch, and your calls are welcome and appreciated. So start dialing. I'd love to visit with you this morning. Hey, don't forget, Thursday is sale day at the sale that works for you. Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley, with Merv May, Cade, Rocky, Lance, Udy, and the number to call for cattle consignments and sale information, 678-9411. 678-9411. The sale that does work for you. Burley Livestock Sale Yard on Thursday, sale time at 11 o'clock. By the way, also, I want to remind you about the world's best cleaners. I mean this. Kevin and Cindy, they've been friends of mine for a long time. And one of our almost original sponsors of this program, Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. And a lot of people don't know that if you don't have time to take care of your clothes washing, let's say you're getting up early in the morning, zipping to work, late at night, you just don't have time. They can wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes. Remember that. Stop in and talk to them today, along with the best in dry cleaning services at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Yep, they're waiting right now to serve you. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We're going to get into some pretty heavy stuff here this morning. And before I do that, I want to remind you, too, coming up on this Saturday, the Minnecasia Relay for Life. Absolutely a very, very honored cause to fight the dreaded disease of cancer and all of its variations. It's going to be this Saturday, June 10th, from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. at the Burley High School track. And the theme, one wish, two wish, you wish, I wish for a cure. Minnecasia Relay for Life to fight and kill off cancer, we certainly hope. Don't forget, too, Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Telephone number to call, and they can have your order waiting for you on the counter. Yeah, they're good. 678-0459. And they're open at 7:30 in the morning till 5, Monday through Friday. All your heating and now cooling with the temperatures getting into the 90s. You better check on all the air filters for your air conditioning work. They can help you keep cool. And buy them by the single or the case. They've got them all over there at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Really good folks. Thursday, this week, if you're not aware of it, former FBI Director James Comey is going to testify and on Capitol Hill to the and he's going to be setting the stage for a lot of public airing of laundry that he and President Trump probably had spoken to each other over the many, many months. And I give Trump a lot of credit. He said, hey, fine, go ahead. Let's get this out in the open. Let's get it all out in the open so we don't have to worry about anything. And all of us deserve for an administration to be working daily for us and get rid of all this extra garbage. I hope once and for all, and I'm sure a lot of you agree with me on this, that the special prosecutor Mueller and his cohorts that are gathering evidence will show and provide with total certainty that there was no collusion with Russia or anything else. And then maybe we can get the Democrats to shut up, sit down, and get to work for the benefit of the country. I'm hoping and I'm praying. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. By the way, I want to say thank you to Denny's Restaurant. Hello, Thomas. Hello, everybody at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, and also 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Yep. America's Diner. What a great place to eat. I love their breakfast menus. I love those new line of burgers. Oh, they're good. That Gouda burger, it's Gouda. And you're going to love everything there, so please stop in and see some really nice people serving you at America's Diner. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, and 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. And Denny's Restaurant is the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. Really nice people. All right, you give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Al Gore, Tom Stiers, John Kerry, and Barack Obama, and many, many more, all losers that put every other country and their wants and needs ahead of ours. You know, what Barack Obama's administration did, I think in years to come, with historical viewpoints over their shoulder, looking back as to what was done and what wasn't done, I think they will find that this man and his administration, Barack and Gore and Stiers and Kerry and, like I said, so many other names, did more to hurt us, the United States, than they ever did to help us, especially when it came to starting with global warming and then moving to climate change and all the monetary benefits involved in that were for other countries in a wealth redistribution and none back to us as the taxpayers of this country. And I'll say it 100 times. I am, and I'm proud to say this, I am a climate, listen to my words carefully, I am a climate change denier. I don't care about those little mean-nothings at the Times News or some on the City Council of Twin Falls. I don't care about their uneducated opinions. They haven't studied anything about climate change. They don't know anything. They're followers. They're like they're on a dog leash. I am a climate change denier because the facts are not there to support climate change being caused by mankind. I honestly believe that in the sense that God, only God, can and will change something no mere mortal can. I think it's a little bit arrogant, don't you, to think that man can basically fiddle with the thermostat and change things the way he wants in the universe. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Now, for those, again, including some here in Magic Valley, I pity your folly and your silliness in thinking that mankind can control the climate and the weather. What fools you are. What fools you are. When you look at the situation right now with the cooling trend, and yes, for those that are so stuck in the sand up to their shoulders with their head buried, they can't think straight, the blood's running through their brain and then back out to other parts. When you think about the cooling trend that's going on now and the changes in society's weather, and everything is systematic. Everything is climatic changes. Climatic changes. Yes, there's climate change. There has been ever since God created the earth. And there will continue to be so. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, can we go back to this Comey thing?
Yeah, briefly, go ahead.
Yeah, I think what the Democrats are hoping for is another Watergate thing. With the Democrats... or the Democrats can get rid of Donald Trump. I think that's what's going on.
Oh, Tony, there's no doubt. I mean, that is a slam dunk done deal. The Democrats in this country right now are absolutely, they're like a racehorse that spit the bit, and they're just going to take off and run wherever they want to run. They're going to take this thing to the nth degree to try to get Trump thrown out of office. They don't care about the American public. They don't care about the economy. They don't care about national security. They don't care about world affairs. They're only bent on one thing, like little kids that are spoiled spoiled brats. They're after the complete removal of Donald Trump.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as far as climate change, this thing has been going on for millions of years, and nobody like Al Gore is even going to touch it.
Al Gore is an overweight clown, and he is no smarter than anyone else. And the perpetration of the theory that Al Gore and global warming and all that, he's just nothing, like I said, as an overweight clown, but nobody's laughing at him. I'm a little bit upset this morning, Tony, that we have to pay even a little bit of credence to these people on the left because they're silly and they're fools.
Oh, unfortunately, Al Gore was allowed to make billions of dollars off of this.
Well, that's true. Well, so, as is the case with Tom Steyers and John Kerry and many others. But I, for one, I am proud to say, and I hope somebody at the Times News is listening and they can put this in their little silly articles that they have on the op-ed page. I'm proud to be a climate denier because I don't believe that mankind had one single thing to do with it. And anytime you think that you're bigger, stronger, and better with God, with his hand on the thermostat, you are a fool.
Well, you're right, Zed.
All right, Tony.
Things are going to change, I'm sure.
All right.
Trump is the type of guy that the more you put pressure on him, the stronger he gets.
I agree with you. Take care of that throat. You sound worse than I do this morning.
Okay, Zed.
All right, buddy. Take care. Thank you. Caller, I'm going to ask your patience. Stay with me a minute. I got to get some bills paid. I'll be right there. Don't hang up. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, parts, all at 3 locations. They have all the equipment to get the job done right. South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. And I want to tell you this morning, they've got all the Bobcats. New and used excavators for sale or rent. They got all the shapes and sizes. And believe me, the people that work at Barry, they're very, very helpful, knowledgeable, and willing to teach you how to run them. Absolutely. They got a big sandbox out behind. They've got all the equipment rentals, all the retail equipment sales, everything for you at Barry Equipment and Rental. South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Oh, and by the way, if you got some aches and pains and you don't know what to do, I do. I'll tell you what, get a hold of Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The number to call, 678-1191. They can help you get back to being you. Yes, we can run and jump across the pasture, vault over the fence, whatever. Anyway, they've got the hydrotherapy pool, the only one of its kind in the area. They've got all the different exercises, great physical therapists at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation in Burley. Number to call, do it today, 678-1191. Caller, you're patient. I appreciate that. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Seb. I really enjoyed your opening monologue. It really made me think back of how lucky we are. But what if John Kerry and Barack Obama and Tom Steyers and all of these hypocrites, son of a guns, were on that invasion? We wouldn't be free today because they'd be scared. They'd be hiding down in the bottom of the boat.
Well, you know, that's speculation, though, Keith, and you and I both know that speculation and thought of what could have been or what might have been, that really doesn't hold a lot of water in the glass. All I'm going to say this morning, and I think you're going to concur with it, is that for all the veterans, all the soldiers, when that drawbridge went down on those boats and they stepped out into the ocean to go on the Normandy beach with the lead and the bombs and everything else, that is 130% bravery. I don't know if a lot of these people today could do it because they are so accustomed to having things given to them and provided to them, and God bless our veterans for what they've done for this country.
You know, just adding one thing to it. For one thing, John Kerry threw his medals over the wall. He was not an American right from that point. But when you talk about those boats at the front dock down in, they were called LCM.
Right.
And as a sailor in the United States Navy, that was my job in the case of war was they called it a coxswain then, the one that drove the boat.
Right.
My job was to take them ashore and drop that gate and hopefully be able to back off of that beach. And to do this, in order to do this, I spent 3 weeks training with the Marine Corps in just off of Monterey there, living with the Marines, because when you went into one of them LCMs, you had a full pack, just like the soldiers had.
Yeah.
And if you didn't get that thing off of the beach, you went with them. And I tell you what, this brings back so many memories of how these people put their life on their line for us.
That's right.
We may live free today.
That's right. God bless you, Keith, and thank you, and I appreciate your kind remarks. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Thank you. It is D-Day, and I'll tell you what, folks, we have so much to be thankful for. We have so much to get down on our knees for. And I know I get kind of a redneck attitude at times. People out there are going, oh, duh. Yeah, I do. But I'm not ashamed of it. I'm proud of it. Because I'd like to grab some of these millennials right by the shirt collar and bend their neck to look me right in the eye and tell me that they shouldn't be thankful for what's been done for them to live in a country such as the United States. I am so sick of these crybabies. I am so sick of these wannabes and never will be's. I'm so sick of this stomping on the American flag or making fun of our veterans. I was never able to serve because of my legs. But I'm going to do my darndest to uphold the values of what our veterans fought for and died for on this program. Ladies and gentlemen, I also want to remind you about what's going on at Sportsman's Warehouse. And they've got a great annual Sportsman's Warehouse Outdoor Shooting Expo coming up this Saturday, June 10th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Jerome Gun Club on Highway 93, where representatives from companies like Colt, Smith & Wesson, Glock, and many more will demonstrate the firearms, and you can try before you buy. All you have to do is just have a small charge for the ammunition. Be there and have a good time and find out about what guns you really want for your ownership at the Sportsman's Warehouse Outdoor Shooting Expo this Saturday, June 10th from 9 to 4 at the Jerome Gun Club. Absolutely. By the way, too, I'm running a little bit behind here this morning. Don't forget our friends at Ag Express. They are looking for drivers. Yes, they are. And they're looking for full and part-time positions. Retired folks are welcome, and you can work. They'll work around your schedule 2 or 3 days a week, whatever works best for you. And you know what? You're home every night using new and maintained equipment, and they've got great vacation schedules and benefit programs. Wow, what are you waiting for? Call Dale and Paul at 438-8886, Alan in Twin Falls 731-2495, and Russ in Burley at 431-7175. Ag Express is looking for drivers. Ag Express is looking for you. Yes, they are. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I saw something last night on Tucker Carlson that I wanted to reach down and take off one of my Justin boots and throw it through my 60-inch screen. I'll tell you about that in just a minute. Don't forget Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids with the lovely Dr. Christine Pickup. And what she got going on over there is a great big scavenger hunt, a sound scavenger hunt. That's right, and it's called the Sounds of Summer Scavenger Hunt. And the grand prize being $500 off a pair of mid-level or premium hearing aids. Stop over to her office and pick up a contest card today. And they're located at 1218 9th Street, Unit 2 in Rupert. right behind the Minidoka County Hospital. That's right. You stop over and see them today. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. 312-0957. You be a part of the big scavenger hunt. Get over there and get your contest card. Last night on television, Deanne and I were watching the news, and I was taking some notes for this morning's program on various programs and issues. And a Muslim man on Tucker Carlson last night had me to the point where I could have easily jumped out of my chair and strangled my TV. He came out with some really, I thought, incendiary remarks regarding Muslims and us. He said that if we, the citizens, and I'm paraphrasing this, I'm not giving direct quotes. He said that if we, the United States, were more kinder and gentler to incoming Muslims, they would feel more comfortable and they would be more reasonable, and they may not look to terrorists, or they may not look to terrorism. What? They're coming in on our dime. We're footing the bill. And we should be more kinder and gentler? Are you kidding? I'm sorry, I'm getting all worked up again. Deanne, bring the deodorant. Gotta have it. I was absolutely livid when I heard this. He said we should let them have their culture here. Now, this is the one that made the boots start to come off. We should try to assimilate to them. I pause because I have white knuckles right now. We should try to assimilate to them? Are you kidding? Never. I would never assimilate to them. I don't want them here. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I don't want them here. Now, you can call me any name you want at the coffee shop this morning. You can call me any name you want anywhere I go, but I'm going to stand firm in my convictions and beliefs. I don't want them here. I don't want them to be in our society to where we feel an obligation forced upon us by this guy or others like him to where we should try to assimilate to them in our country, the United States of America. Never. What are your thoughts about this? The problem we have today is that when people come here, they don't assimilate to our culture. They don't respect our heritage. They don't respect our Constitution or our laws. And then I've got some 8-ball standing there on TV last night saying that we should try to assimilate to theirs. Are you kidding me? Give me a call. Come on, folks. Get up off the couch. Give me a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. That's the problem with America today. We worry too much about others. We do. Instead of protecting our own. Caller, do you disagree with me or not? Go ahead, you're on the air.
No, I don't, Zeb. I agree 100%. Let's look back in history. We put the Japanese in an internment camp back in World War II because we did not have the technology to profile them and find out what they was doing. So we gathered everybody up. And let's go farther back. The LDS people, the Mormons, were kicked out of their settlements for religion purposes. All they was trying to do is practice their religion, and we've got the right to practice any religion we want to. So I agree with you that we need to not necessarily round them up, but we've got the technology where we can investigate these people and kick them out if they're on a no-watch list or no-fly list or anything else. And I don't know why They don't understand that.
I want to know. Caller number 2, stay there. I'll be with you in a minute. I want to know what flavor of ice cream they like the best and how many ice cream cones they eat. I want to know everything about these people before they come and are connecting in our societies and trying to take over and reinvigorate their own culture in our society. I want to know everything about these people.
And we've got the technology to do it, Seb, and that's what my point was. This point in time in our life, we've got the technology where we can and do that, and I agree 100%. I don't mind them coming in if they want to assimilate and become part of our culture, but they don't want to be part of our culture.
That's right.
They want to bring their culture over here and jam it down our throats, and that's not right.
Absolutely.
Well, why don't you go over there and do that to them? So why should we allow them to do that?
Absolutely right, and I'm going to remain very firm and adamant on this opinion, and I couldn't care less who's offended. Sir, I appreciate your viewpoint. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Zeb.
God bless. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Morning, Zeb. I was calling this pretty much the same thing your last caller was talking about, other than if their country was so bad that they had to flee to come to ours, but try to assimilate ours to make ours like theirs, why didn't they just stay in their own country and do their best to make their country a better, more pleasant place to fit them and their ideals and to live, instead of try to spread to some other country and take it over?
Riley,
it only makes sense to me. You fight for your land, you fight for your home, and you fight for your country. And yet, if it doesn't work out, I just don't run off and go to some other country and try to make them change to my way of thinking.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something else.
To the way that I would like it to be, and fight and strive for it.
I'll tell you something else too, Riley. I'll tell you what really makes me so mad about this whole thing is that when I have somebody that is a representative of those folks trying to tell me that I need to be more kinder and gentler and be more reasonable, they're on my dime. They should try to be everything I want them to be.
If they don't like it, being blunt, if they don't like it, they can get back on the daggum ship, airplane, whatever they got them here, go back to their country and fight their country for their country the way they want.
Amen.
And I'm sick and tired of our brothers and sisters, our fellow countrymen dying and bleeding in a foreign country for people who want to come over here and mooch off us and try to tell us that we're living wrong.
All right, Riley. Very well stated. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go.
Morning, sir. Yeah, you take these countries that are coming over here, and you go over to that country and you try to build a church.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, they won't let you.
That's right.
I mean, let's treat them like they treat us.
Well, here's the deal, Doug. When I have some, and I'm going to say it the way I feel. If this offends you or anybody else, so be it. This clown looking for a circus last night on television, trying to tell me and others that we're not kinder and we should be more kinder and more gentle and we should be more reasonable and we should try to assimilate to them. That is a substance that's out in my corral.
Exactly. That's exactly it. They come here and they want they want us to take care of them, but they do not want to contribute.
That's exactly right.
Look at the Irish and the Italians and all the people that come over to Ellis Island. When they came here, they didn't come here to turn this country into Ireland or Italy or whatever country they came from. They came here for the American dream to be free and pursue their happiness. If they wanted a business, to work hard and create one.
Yep.
They did not come here waving their flags, insisting that we take care of them.
I am not about to let any clown looking, like I said, for a circus or anything else in this country, or any Democrat or any liberal that really, they're on a fool's folly as far as I'm concerned, try to tell me that as a taxpayer, I should try to change to assimilate to their culture. You've got to be kidding me. I tell you, that just makes me fighting mad.
Yes, it does. And I watched that interview last night, and I was just like you. I didn't have on a Tony Lama, but I was just about ready to throw my glass of water at that TV. I mean, it was
Just unreal.
The smugness.
The way Tucker Carlson handles them.
Yeah, the smugness, though, and the arrogance of what that man was saying, looking into the camera and stone-faced and saying, well, it's us, the Americans, that are the problem, and we're not making them feel more comfortable. And I wrote down the key words, you know I'm right, more comfortable, and we're not as reasonable to assimilating to what they want. And I wrote this down. I looked at Deanne, and I'll tell you what, I felt bad that it was after supper because my stomach was in such a turmoil I couldn't appreciate her great eating.
I know it. And I like the way Tucker Carlson lets them hang themselves and then calls them out when they make statements like that to get them to answer, and they can't answer it.
It was ridiculous what this man said. But you know what? Doug? There are many, many people, to the tunes of thousands in numbers, that are buying into that philosophy of, oh, we need to be more gentle. Oh, we need to accept the practices of the Muslim and Islamic faith. Oh, we need to assimilate to them. And there's the problem.
Got to run, buddy.
All right, take care. Thank you. Oh, I'm really upset about that last night. Boy, you talk about fry my bacon. Anyhow, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, call me. Hey, by the way, too, I want to say thank you to Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert, the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cassia area. And, boy, they want you. They want you to call them. They want you to stop in. They want the public to visit the facility anytime. Check them out and find out that it is a wonderful place for your loved one. Lots of activities going on, too. They got a beautiful patio in the backyard, barbecues outside. Oh, my, yes. They make every effort to make Autumn Haven the best place. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center. Call them, 436-3200. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, Democrats, and I'm going to be very partisan on this, Democrats can't really remember too much about the past. Democrats seem to forget that there is such a thing as videotape. And Democrats fail to remember some of the statements by their leadership of days gone by to where now they look like modern-day bumpkins because of what some of the leaders in bygone days had said. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. Right now, it is time for the weather, and the weather brought to you by Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center at 382 North Overland in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care, 2392 Addison Avenue East in Twin, and Jerome Urgent Care at 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. The doctor will see you now, not in 4 or 5 days, because minor emergencies get major care. They're open 7 days a week serving you, and we'll tell you more in a moment. Right now, here's the weather.
Going to be warm for today and tomorrow, but as we get closer to the weekend, looks like we have a cooling trend. Looks like mostly sunny skies for today, high of 89 with an overnight low of 57. Sunny and 92 for tomorrow with an overnight low of 57, partly cloudy 86 for Thursday. By Friday, we do have a 50% chance of rain showers in the forecast. Winds are going to be picking up, high of 70 with an overnight low of 46. Then for the weekend, looks like partly to mostly cloudy skies. Highs are going to be in the mid-60s. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
There you go, Gina. Thank you. And, of course, our good friends serving you, Riverview Urgent Care in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care in Twin, and Jerome Urgent Care in Jerome. Now, I'll tell you what, they really, really, really do care. They specialize in treating the minor emergencies and providing the wonderful major care. You be sure and get a hold of them today. The Urgent Cares, Twin Falls, Burley, and Jerome. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. I'd like to hear what you have to say. I was talking about videotape, and I was talking about former Democrat leadership like President Bill Clinton. It was brought up to me, and I had a really good time writing down notes about this. When Bill Clinton gave the 1995 State of the Union address, he stood up there and so many times was talking about immigration reform even back then, but he kept saying in his speech, and he repeated it many, many times, illegal aliens have to stop getting into this country. They need change. They need to tighten up the border security. And he used the terminology illegal aliens, illegal aliens, illegal aliens. None of this transition speech today, because the Democrats, they're absolutely in favor of these people coming in so they can build their vote base. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. They have evolved and morphed into a party that wants to forget the past of much more common sense. And now they just want a floodgate open, no borders, anybody come on in, because they know by standing there on the top of the hill saying, come on in, all of you, and join the Democratic Party. We'll give you everything, all kinds of free stuff. That's what they want today. But they seem to forget, like this 1995 State of the Union address by President Bill Clinton, they've really changed, haven't they, in the last 22 years. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. I'd like to hear from you. Don't forget, on Thursdays, we have a program segment at 9:15 on Thursdays called It's Time to Grow with Tony McCammon, University of Idaho horticulturalist. Wow, that guy is so sharp. That man knows everything about trees and bugs and the lawns and everything else. I mean, he really knows. That's why he's a professional horticulturalist. Tune in, call, ask questions. It's Time to Grow on Thursdays at 9:15. Yep, good program. Did you hear that they found one of the leakers in this administration? A 25-year-old woman has been arrested, and good. I'm glad. I hope they throw the book at her. And she's been arrested as one of the leakers of information trying to literally hurt the Trump administration. And I just honestly hope and pray that the law comes down on her expressly hard, and she pays for her sins. She is a Bernie Sanders supporter. And she once said, and I hope all the little children are out of the room so they don't get the inference here, because I don't want to say anything that would hurt them or cause harm. But she had once said that Trump is a piece of, you can fill in the blank. And more so now than ever, I hope that she will be the poster girl of what not to do, what not to get involved in, and I hope that the government throws the book at her and makes her suffer and makes other people realize that by leaking information, you're a traitor. What are your thoughts? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. She also, her name is, and I'm not making this up, her name is Reality Winner. Well, the last name definitely doesn't suit her, but she is a white lady, 25 years of age, and she absolutely has an animosity against us other white people. And she had said and written that being white is terrorism. Ooh, she's a sharp one. And she held a top secret security clearance for her job at Pluribus International, an NSA contractor. Well, I don't think she's going to get a paycheck from now on. I don't think she's going to be back in that position anymore. And if you see her picture, today on the news, you can really see the arrogance. You can see the animosity. You can see the I'm better than you attitude written all over her face. Well, this 25-year-old gal, she is, to use the terminology, in a heap of trouble, and rightfully so. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, give me a call. Let's see, what else have I got here to tell you real quick. I've got some other stories I want to get into here real fast. Let's see. The Democrats are leaning towards accepting onto their platform, their party platform, be that as it is or might be, that they are pushing to have single-payer government insurance. This is something we all were very concerned about. I'm very concerned about. It's a huge negative, and I'm so afraid that it might happen. Single-payer insurance, and I'm not making this up. I've talked to many people that are so much more knowledgeable than I am, Dr. Elena George and many, many more. Single-payer insurance, if it ever goes into effect in this country, would absolutely be the worst thing for the American public and for our coverage. Many experts have said it would create long waiting lists for people to get in to see specialized doctors for specialized medicine, and many of which, waiting on those waiting lists, would die. There will be a loss of care in our country for medicine, and the costs would be extremely high, and there would be a lack of personalized care, and with ceilings on income for doctors. And this really concerns me. I don't care how much a doctor makes. I really don't care how much a doctor makes. If he makes $1 million a year or $20 million a year, I couldn't care less. As long as he is an expert in his field and is helping and serving and caring and helping others try to live a better life. I don't care how much money the man makes. He can drive a Rolls Royce one day and a Cadillac the next and an Austin Healey the third day. I don't care. As long as he's knowledgeable and is helping people that need help. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning, sir, again. Hey, if you want to see what a single-payer program would look like, we already have one called the VA.
Yes.
That's exactly what it would be.
There's no question.
My only statement on that, my friend.
No, wait a minute. You hit the nail right on the head. I was going to allude to that in just a moment. You took the notes right out of my hand. And I'm glad you did, because that's exactly the premise and kind of the window that we can look through and see what would happen.
Exactly. That's exactly what it would look like. I don't care who you are or how you try to spin it. You will never convince me it would be any different or any better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I am very concerned, Doug, because the longer we wait, the longer this frivolous mess between the Democrats and the Republicans arguing over Russia and all this stupid, absolutely mentally brain-dead attitudes when they should be governing. They should be helping us. The longer it goes, the more that single payer has a chance and an opportunity to rear its ugly head and bite us.
Exactly. And on another note, too, we need to look at what's happening in Europe with all of these immigrants, and that's what's going to happen here.
Gotcha.
So we've got an opportunity to see the future. All we got to do is look at it and react to it.
I got to run. I got to get a commercial in real fast, Doug. I got Les Schwab. I thank you, sir.
God bless.
All right, sir. Caller, I'll be there as quick as I can. Stand by. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Doing the right thing matters. They are our number one sponsor on this program. We certainly appreciate all their effort. They are the best. They've got all your tires, all the different tread designs, all the different sizes. They, of course, have the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. And there are 7 very easy locations to get into in Magic Valley. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lake Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Nobody better. The best. Doing the right thing matters at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, I got 20 seconds. Fast. Go. Oh, he hung up. All right, well, that's fast. I've got to run to the news from CBS. We'll be back at 9:06. Wheels, take it away. Oh, good morning, good morning, good morning to all of you out there. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and of course some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Way Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Way Services is landing ahead, always at your disposal.
Western Way Services, don't forget to get the potties for your party. They've got all the porta potties. Let me tell you, if you're planning a class or a family reunion, a special birthday party outside, outdoor concerts, everything's all set. The entertainment's ready to go. The tables are all set up. Everything's great with the food. Oops, you forgot the porta potties. You better call them right now today. Western Way Services, always at your disposal, 734-6969. Don't forget, on Mondays, we get a chance to talk to a lovely lady, and that's Vicki at Vicky's Country Garden. I'm going to cough. Stand by. Cough done. Thank you very much. Vicky's Country Garden, 185 South, 600 West of Paul, and celebrating 20 years in business with all your gardening needs, all your vegetables, all your decorative needs, bark and rock and yard art, all of this and more at Vicky's Country Garden. And listen on Mondays at 9:15 for Gardening for Idiots, named after me, with the lovely Miss Vicky. Oh, it's going to be good. Always is. Vicky's Country Garden in Paul. And we also want to acknowledge the fact that for all the puppy and dog owners in the area, this is really, really important. I want to stress the fact that Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street in Heyburn urges you, this is really important and very serious, to get your dogs and puppies vaccinated against that parvovirus, a very highly contagious viral infection that can kill your dogs. Please stop by or give them a call. Make an appointment, 678-1177. 678-1177. Ark Animal Hospital in Heyburn, they do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Really good people. We're going to have Mike Doherty on the phone with us in just a moment. I bet he's chomping on the bit, but I've got to pay some bills here real quick, and then I'll be right with him. I want to remind everybody about Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, number to remember, 436-5636. Joel Heward, managers, family, and staff, all there to serve you. And they can and will travel to the rural towns and churches to help you with all the arrangements when there's the passing of a loved one. Don't forget, always treating you with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. That number to call, 436-5636. Let's go to the phone line right now. I don't think I've had this gentleman on my program before. I'll find out from him. And he is a senior writer for Cyber Defense Magazine and a security analyst. Good morning, Michael Doherty. How are you?
Good morning. Yes, I'm a first-time guest, sir. How are you?
Well, that doesn't mean you're going to be a last-time guest either. Once I like somebody, I'll invite them back. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, I am actually born and raised in Michigan. I'm the child of 2 Detroit police officers. I graduated from the University of Michigan in an economics degree, and then moved west and south, and working in medicine, opened my own company, opened a pathology laboratory, and then and I'm giving you the really quick version because I'm 56. And then I got into cybersecurity because my company got hacked. and the hacker was playing good guy to the government, blackmailing companies. I stood up to him, wrote a book, The Devil Inside the Beltway, which is still crawling through the courts. It's been going on for 9 years. And the short version of that is I exposed government lawyers trying to manage technology without any expertise, and they got made fools of by these crooks. And then here's a shock. When you expose these government bureaucrats, they don't apologize. They just double down and get corrupt.
Absolutely.
So, it's been a long road.
You know, I got to tell you, you don't mind if I call you Mike, or would you prefer Michael?
No, Mike, fine.
I got to tell you, being a Michigan grad, I didn't like you guys because I was a Wisconsin grad, and years ago, Michigan was always cleaning up the floor with us, and so I've got a lot of respect for you, but I never did care for your school.
Well, because we're extremely arrogant, and we thrive on being that arrogant.
Well, I'll tell you what, you got some great programs up there.
What can I say? That's just the way it is.
Well, now that we've got...
like not being liked, especially if you're from Ohio.
Oh, yes. Yes, I agree. Let me ask you this, Mike. I do not know as much as I should or have the opportunity to read and learn more about cybersecurity. Where are we now in this country? I keep hearing things on the news and various people that have been on my program saying the United States is really behind where we should be on cybersecurity for our entire nation. What are your thoughts?
Well, we are behind, but the entire world is behind, and here's why. I mean, like anything, this is a type of industrial revolution. It's a internet, computer, a technological revolution. And when you start something new, you got a bag over your head. And what we didn't realize is that we should have focused on security way, way, way more. And so all these software programs have got all these back doors open, and no one focused on it for about 3 decades. And so we're playing catch-up ball hard because we didn't know, and we were pooling all this data, all these secrets. It's like putting every diary there was in one big area and making it really easy for the thieves. And while people in this country can be very naive to how corrupt the world is outside of the country, because we have it so good here, we just take it for granted. We made it really easy for all these, parasites hidden underground in the woodwork to come in and try to get stuff. And that's really where we are. We're playing catch-up ball really hard. And it's made worse by the fact that the U.S. government in the last decade has been made very, very bureaucratic, to the worst it's ever been, and a culture of protecting the people inside the bureaucracy and not holding them accountable, which is about the worst time ever we could have that type of culture, but that's what we've got.
You know, Mike, your knowledge vastly exceeds mine on this subject, to the point where I sit in awe of you and how you're going to explain this. But now, let's talk about the last 8 years with the Obama administration and what was lax on their part as far as protecting us, our information, our missile programs and everything. How easy today is it, in layman's terminology, for somebody to hack into the system and literally shut down our electrical grid, or, God forbid, our right to launch missiles for our nation's security? How serious is this?
That type of extreme case gets less and less likely with every day that passes, because there are secondary protections, and it's very difficult to go after something that broad in this country. Now, we could do it to North Korea because they don't have the infrastructure, but in that instance, the good news is we are the inventors, by and large, of most of this technology. And we are, the defenses, the military defenses, or the grid defenses, are pretty good and getting better all the time, because once we realized we were farther behind, we got on it right away. Now, that doesn't mean things are great, because the problem is everything's spread all over. So where's the vulnerabilities? Well, the Office of Personnel Management got attacked, because that was basically the Human Resources Department of the U.S. government that wasn't a military agency. So they were terrible, and they were vulnerable, and they were warned they were vulnerable repeatedly, and they did nothing. And we had one of the biggest losses ever there of information, of thumbprints, fingerprints, records, and that's a type of backdoor problem. So secondary and tertiary agencies that really you can get a lot of information on that shouldn't be the case. And that's where the bad bureaucrats really are.
Okay, now, what does all this do and say about investigations into James Comey, former FBI director, what was said, what wasn't said, possible Russian collusion? I mean, where's all this headed, Mike? Tell me. I'm just a simple old cowboy in Idaho. Tell me.
Well, this is, personally, I think this is just one of the most extreme stirred-up red herrings known to man. This is when you've got 8 years of the Obama administration that specialized in coercion and information gathering against their political enemies inside the country. This is just an extreme case of that, because all those people, and still many of them, are buried still inside the government, and their mentality is not of fair play. Their mentality is of war. And so anything's okay, including lying, cheating. Usually they go to spinning and circle and confuse. Comey will be fascinating. It'll really boil down to the Republicans, because this is the opportunity for them to demand straight answers and go after him when he doesn't give them. Comey is a master of disguise. He is circle and confuse, and anybody that participates in an argument that the Russians actually had something to do with this, outside the norm of what each country's been doing to each other for decades, I take suspect in, because they're blowing it out of proportion, and they're the master of the half truth. And that means they allow you to be misled, and they don't put their fingerprints on it.
Okay, you said something a moment ago, and I want to try to repeat your verbiage and then ask you a question regarding that. Of the people, I think you used the word buried in the system, etc. What about this young lady, 25 years of age, Reality Winner is her name, and boy, she's a winner, all right, and she absolutely hates Donald Trump as president and would do anything to denigrate him, and she despises him so much, and yet she's still drawing a paycheck. She was until last night, and she has a top security clearance. These kind of people are still in the system. Are you worried about the anti-administration, anti-U.S. attitude that's actually working in the government?
Yes, because the second November 8th happened, all those people embedded in the government have worked to stay within it, throw trash cans in front of it. Look, this bureaucracy has been built for a century. It just got worse than ever during Obama, and it got more activistic and anarchistic since Obama. So I am worried, because that is the problem. These are the leaks. These are the dirty players. And it's not just all Democrats, although it's mostly Democrats. There's a lot of establishment of Republicans that feel very threatened by the Washington way of life, which needs to be shown to the American public, because the American public thought they were angry before. If they really knew how bad it was, they'd be absolutely outraged. And we're seeing it play itself out. But these people terrify me, because they do play dirty.
Mike, how do you find these people? I know I'm very naive about this, so pardon me, but how do you go about finding the reality winners? How do you go about shaking the leaves off the tree to find people that have a top security clearance and they're doing all they can to be subversive in the government? What do you do?
I'm not in the NSA or the CIA, so we are in a new paradigm. I think culturally, we've never seen so many young people be turned into such anarchists. It's a slow development, because we've not taught this generation or past couple generations the Constitution, the philosophy of the separation of powers, the reasons that Saul Alinsky is an evil man, the freedom of speech things. I mean, it's really amazing the narrative that people have in their heads, and whatever that narrative is irrelevant to the fact that they seem to think that law breaking is okay, like they're martyrs. This is a very dangerous thing. Now, this Miss Winter, quite frankly, I think she's low-hanging fruit. And I really am not going to be happy till I see some really big names roll. There are some very deep embedded people that have a lot of power that are not like her. Not that she shouldn't be in trouble, but she should be the beginning of this list, not just the end. If Comey is involved, if Hillary is involved, if these people are playing games, they know how to use their position in power to escape accountability. And it's a very, very vicious game. And they know it, which is why they protect themselves so much as far as the bureaucratic life in Washington.
Mike, what you're telling me is kind of chilling to me, because we've seen 6 months almost go by of this administration where nothing basically has been done for the betterment of you and I as taxpayers because of the stalemate and the arguing and the fighting and the Russian collusion stories, etc. But what you're telling me and what I'm hearing is that maybe this is the tip of the iceberg, and this could be a long-term process of trying to weed out the bad guys. Am I right?
You're exactly right. This really started, I hate to ruin your day, but this started in 1914-15 with President Woodrow Wilson, creating all these agencies and giving them so much power. And they morphed very slowly, and they gave a big boost by FDR. And only in the last 30 years have they really gotten this gargantuan momentum. They're so huge. And look, the government grew under Reagan, it grew under Bush. It's not Republican, it's not Democrat, it's bureaucrat. And it's actually not even the fact that they regulate, it's the powers that all these agencies have that are in direct conflict with the Constitution. And we don't teach this in civics books. We never have. But it's at such a tipping point because of Obamacare being so screwed up, for cyber defenses being so screwed up. We're seeing how broken the system is. It'll take more than one term of a single president willing to take it on to defeat it. It will take the awareness and the action of the American public, because politicians don't have the self-interest or the courage.
Mike, with your ability and your knowledge, and you've had to go head-to-head with these people with cybersecurity, would it be safe to assume that myself and other Americans really are pretty naive as to how much the government and other entities really know about each and every one of us, and our personal privacy and security is null and void? Would you agree with that statement?
Pretty much, yes. And that's a double-edged sword. That was not always the case, but that's become the case because of the nature of the Internet. In old-type spying, we didn't need to know everything about everybody, but the Internet has mixed everything up. You have the good people and the bad people all in the same kit, as you will, or pot. And so they have to have access to everything. The problem with that is, on the political side, everyone is not a good player. Barack Obama used data taken from agencies, and as President of the United States, made them, send the data over to him so he could use that data for his own political analysis. He did that with housing. He does that with enemies. We saw them doing it with the IRS. So this is the problem, and this highlights the fact that it's very dangerous to have any politician, regardless on what side of the aisle they are on, think they get to break the law and violate privacy because they want to advance a policy they think is correct.
Yeah.
And that's what you have with Barack Obama and his ilk, and Hillary Clinton and her ilk.
It
really makes Richard Nixon look like an amateur. I mean, it really does. does.
I agree.
He's rolling in his grave.
I agree. One final thought here, Mike, and kind of change gears and shift tracks in the direction of the train here this morning. Other governments, China, North Korea, and Russia, quite frankly, are they daily trying to develop more cyber information and be able to get much more intel by stealing facts and figures from us? I mean, this sounds really insidious that they get out of bed in the morning and every day try to figure out how to overthrow the country, our country, through cyber relations. Is that right?
Yeah, and that's always been the case. It's just moving so much fast. I mean, the joke used to be that the Chinese would steal our blue jeans. You know, and we'd see our planes looking awfully familiar. They don't have a free society. Free society innovates, and unlike any other. And therefore, they must steal, which they do. So their survival politically is on the line on this theft. And so our defenses and offenses have to be really sharp. Their survival's on the line for it. And we have to stay ahead of them. We have to stay proactive. North Korea is the biggest problem right now, and Iran.
Okay, now I want to ask you this. The book, the author of the book, you are Devil Inside the Beltway, the shocking expose of the U.S. government's surveillance and overreach into cybersecurity, medicine, and small business. I've got to get that book. I've got to read it. Where can I find it?
The best place is Amazon. It's an audiobook and hardcover and softcover and Kindle. And Kindle's actually on sale right now for $6. Okay. And so I think Amazon's the best place to go.
Mike, I want to have you back. Please consent to coming back in the near future. I've got another 1,000 questions I wanted to ask you. You're a great guest. Thank you very much, Michael Dougherty. We appreciate you.
Most enjoyable. I'd be glad to. Thank you.
Look forward to it. Thank you very much. Interesting gentleman there, and a good author of the book called The Devil Inside the Beltway. I don't know why, but occasionally, Wheels, I'm hearing another voice come into my headsets. So if there's a leak in the line or something, watch that, if you would, please. We're going to take a little break here and then have another guest standing by, so stay tuned. Charlie Drevna. No, I think it's going to be John Zamirik will be next. We've had a change in the program. Now it's going back the original way. Well, who's going to be on, Deanne? We don't know. All right, how are we going to find out? Okay, Deanne is hurrying to find the information. Stand by. While we have just a moment, I want to remind you about Cameron and Siemens Insurance, and they're, of course, located on Highway 24 in Rupert. When you think about life insurance and health insurance and retirement planning and employee benefits, think with the best, the pros that are serving you, and they're very dedicated and responsive to your needs. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Call for an appointment today at 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. You call Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Deanne, find that information as quickly as you can, please, and we will continue on and telling you that Sportsman's Warehouse is having a really big event coming up this Saturday, June 10th. Don't forget, from 9 to 4 at the Jerome Gun Club on Highway 93. Representatives from companies from Colt, Smith & Wesson, Glock, and others are going to be there, and you can try the guns before you buy the guns. Absolutely. Admission is free, and there's only going to be a small minimal charge for ammunition. So be sure and be there this coming Saturday. The Sportsman's Warehouse Outdoor Shooting Expo, Saturday, June 10th from 9 to 4 at the Jerome Gun Club. Don't you miss it. Absolutely. In just a moment, I think that Matt is trying to find somebody to fill in at 9:30 this morning, and he hasn't had any luck, but we're trying, and then we'll give that information to Wheels over at our main studio, so stand by for that. While we have just a moment also, your calls are welcome at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4, and they've got all the watercraft. Oh, with these warmer temperatures getting up into the 90s, you're going to be heading to the lakes. You're going to be heading to the river. You're going to be heading on the water with the watercraft from Let's Ride. And, of course, they've got all the four-wheelers, all the side-by-sides. They've got it all for you to have fun outside. This is where the fun is sold. And don't forget, they got a great accessory department along with a super service department at Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 in Rupert. Where are we headed, Deanne? All right. Wheels, do you have John's America on the line?
Yes, sir, I do.
All right, my friend. And by the way, thanks, Wheels. Appreciate it. This gentleman has been on my program many, many times, and I got to compliment him because the article that he had just written in the stream, absolutely entertaining and very thought-provoking. The title is Forget the Paris Accords. Climate is socially constructed like sex. Wow. John, you better get in here and describe what you're talking about. John Zemurek, good morning to you.
Good morning. Well, what I was thinking was the same people who are fundamentalists about climate change and about the absolute necessity to turn the whole global economy to a small coterie of bureaucrats in Geneva or at the UN or, in some centralized, unelected global government somewhere. These same people believe that a man can identify as a woman, and he becomes a woman at that moment. So that women who identify as men, but still have ordinary female biology, you get people running around saying, see, men can menstruate, men can breastfeed. By that they mean women who identify as men. There's even an academic who says he identifies as a hippopotamus and wants to be treated as such. And we're supposed to accept that that's real. Bruce Jenner was a woman from the moment he said so. Well, why don't we apply that to the climate and just say that the global temperature is exactly what we want it to be? We identify as being a planet with a 72 degrees temperature, no matter what's going on out there in physical reality. That's the same approach they take towards sex, and they expect us to take it seriously. Now, why don't they take that seriously? Why don't they take that approach? Well, because they know on some level that there is objective reality. And they'll apply that to the climate, but they won't apply it to sex. They won't apply it to babies. A fetus becomes human the moment his mother puts her ultrasound up on Facebook. That's when it becomes a human being to them. So since they believe in such an arbitrary, kind of magical thinking approach towards reality when it comes to human beings and human ecology, why don't they apply it to the global ecology? And furthermore, so then they might say, well, but then the animals and plants won't understand that we're identifying the planet as being cooler than they think it is, and they'll still die. At that point, if they were consistent, if they were willing to do to nature what they'll do to human nature, the equivalent of a sex change operation to the climate would be geoengineering. That's where you put particles up in space to reduce the amount of sunlight, where you put reflectors in orbit. There are all these scientific options for actually reducing the global temperature. They're not willing to do that. They want the whole world to go on a carbon diet, the equivalent of asking everybody on Earth to go on a low-carb diet for the next 100 years. They're not willing to use intrusive scientific means to change inanimate nature, but they're willing to cut up human beings, cut out their reproductive organs, give small children hormone blockers just because they're supposedly they've decided they're transgender at age 8. Kids who are too young to decide to get a tattoo.
You know, John, I sat here and read that article twice, and I have to ask you, was it because you and your family went out some night and had bad pizza? I mean, what caused you to look at this article like this? It's very well written, but my goodness, your theory is dramatically close to what's going on with the liberal left in this country, and it's scary that we've gone this far down the rabbit hole of insanity.
Yeah, I encourage everybody who's hearing you, whenever someone talks about climate change, just say, look, I identify as someone whose climate is 72 degrees and perfectly safe. So if you choose to identify as someone in a warming climate, that's your choice, and I'm not going to tell you. That's a very personal decision. You can identify with whatever climate you believe in. I identify with a lower temperature climate.
John, what about this, though? What does it tell you as a writer and an author of various pieces, especially great study programs like this? What does it tell you about our society? We really are messed up, aren't we?
Yeah. When you abandon faith, reason usually goes out the window pretty quickly after that. Because reason needs an anchor. The best ship needs an anchor sometimes. It needs to be able to stop somewhere. But the function of faith is to provide boundaries to where reason doesn't extend, and also to cut off absurd possibilities, to cut off weird, arbitrary, logical possibilities of the kind that college sophomores come up with when they're smoking pot in their dorm room. Like, what if our universe is a tiny molecule in a drop of water in another universe? You can't prove that's not true, man.
Yeah. I have always espoused, and said this earlier on the program, as a matter of fact, that I will be forever known, and I'm proud of it, a climate change denier. I believe there's only one being that can control the climate, and that is the great Lord above. And he has his hand on the thermostat, whether it's going to get warmer or whether it's going to get cooler, as it has since the earth was created by his holy hand. And I'm sick and tired of the liberals trying to play God and say that they can make the climate whatever they want to be, but when they're pressured, they can't give a good answer as to what the ideal or optimum is. They don't have any answers for that.
Right. The great irony is we could step in a heavy-handed way and reduce the global temperature by putting up particles in space. But people are like, oh, that's horrible. They won't even investigate the possibility. To them, there are only two options. Either we continue to either we just let things happen and the climate gets warmer and Earth becomes uninhabitable, or you create a global socialist order where a few environmental bureaucrats make all the decisions. We give up cheap energy. We give up economic growth. We accept a flat or declining economy that can't support new people, that can't raise up the poor. In the last 20 years, 1 billion people rose from extreme poverty, from $1 a day. 1 billion people got out of that trap. There's 1 billion people left on Earth who live that way. Globalization and the free market in the next 20 years will probably raise most of them, unless we cut off the source of cheap, reliable energy in the name of a theory that they can't even explain why the climate is changing, but they want us to change our whole lives in order to try to influence it based on computer models that keep being disproved.
John,
this is not a religion. I'd like to see one.
Absolutely. John, when you wrote this article, much of which was tongue-in-cheek, but really the coordinates they're drawing some finality that really scares me. In honest opinion, how close are we to this devastating attitude that might purvey itself in this country?
I think the universities are already a lost cause. I think even state universities, many religious colleges, just swallowed this up. There are a few religious colleges here and there that have maintained islands of sanity, but our intellectual class has just rotted to the core. And it's at the point where people disagree can't even speak on campus without violent mobs attacking them. I mean, we're at a very advanced point of decay. In another piece I wrote this week, I said, we're at the point in the exorcism where the head starts to spin around.
John, if you were to give this article and turn it into a speech on a college campus, what do you look in the crystal ball? What do you think would happen? What would be the reaction? What do you think would be the final outcome of giving this speech to millennials that need a good slap upside the face to understand what really is going on?
Well, I think I would not be permitted to give it. I think Antifa, hooded protesters would show up, waving iron rods and billy clubs, and the campus police would be told by administrators to stand down, and the mob, the hecklers, would be allowed to veto my speech. So I don't think I would get 5 words of this out in most college campuses. If I had my druthers, I would get a bunch of Trump supporters to show up with their own weapons and enforce free speech if the cops aren't willing to. We're going to end up at that point. We're going to end up with fights in the streets between rioters of different political stripes. We're rapidly moving towards the condition of Germany in the 1920s, where right-wing mobs and left-wing mobs were fighting it out in the streets, and the police were just standing back and letting them do it.
You know what's
really scary time.
What scares me about your article is that there are so many truths in the article that are now fostering themselves within the millennial generation. And it's the I think I am, so I think I will become attitude, and that's acceptable. I mean, there are only two genders, male and female, but now in the city of New York, I think there's something like 47 accepted genders that the police have to just scratch their head and make sure they call everybody by the right one. I mean, our society is in the toilet waiting to be flushed with what's going on today in America. It's pathetic.
Well, the thing you need to do is just stand up and tell the truth. As Alexander Solzhenitsyn said, it all begins with refusing to live a lie, refusing to collaborate in a lie. Look up. You can Google it. It's a beautiful essay by Solzhenitsyn. It's called Live Not by Lie. And he wrote it in the Soviet Union and disseminated it among his fellow opposition people. And he wanted them to take small but realistic risks to resist communism. And the risks he wanted them to take were not to go out and picket in the streets, not to try to assassinate the Soviet leadership, but to simply refuse to collaborate in lies. Every time someone asked them to sign a petition or add their name to some committee that was promoting communist lies, just don't do it. Just refuse to take part in it. Don't call Bruce Jenner Caitlyn. Don't pretend that women who've had mastectomies have become men, or men who have been castrated have become women. If you don't accept same-sex marriage, don't refer to them as married couples. Put the word marriage in quotes when you use it in such cases.
Absolutely.
And just do not take part. If you see the lemmings running towards a cliff, just sit down. Just stop moving. If you can't reverse the flow of the herd, you can at least be a counterexample. There's a great historical photo of about 1,000 people in Germany cheering and saluting Hitler, and one guy frowning and refusing to take part. And the caption is always, "Be that guy."
Yeah. Absolutely. Let me turn it around a little bit, if I may, to the current status of political correctness in our society and the pressure that is on Donald Trump right now as the president within his own family and own administration. I can't imagine some of the ear bending that he's getting from his daughter and his son-in-law, etc., let alone other members of the administration, when he basically said no to the Paris Climate Accord. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it was a courageous decision and a very important one. I think it'll give courage to other countries to look twice at this futile, destructive attempt to impose socialism via the back door of environmentalism. And I think Trump needs to know his voters are thankful for it, that this is what we expect from him. We didn't vote for Ivanka and Jared. I'm sure they're very nice people, but they were not elected to anything. They are basically liberal Democrats who happen to be genetically related to him. We didn't, in her case, we didn't vote for that. We voted for him and what he said on the campaign trail. And he needs to feel bound by that if he wants a second term in office.
You know, we talk a little bit about, when we have you on the program, and especially again this morning, about the millennial generation and colleges and universities being a lost cause. But in order to reach that pinnacle of lostness, if you will, it has to start with the negativity in the grade schools and high schools. How can we try to make a transition and get common sense back there so that people really understand the truth?
I think, homeschooling, religious schools, self-education are the key to undergraduate, to high school and primary education. And what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to find the equivalent for colleges. We're going to need online colleges with religious orientations or just with, sane conservative orientations. We're going to need to fight legislatively to let them get accredited. We have to create an escape route from the ideological system of the modern university, which is designed to take the kid you carefully raised and try to bring up in your values and remake him in the image of his professor.
John, I commend you, and I salute you for a very thought-provoking piece. Unfortunately, it's coming true, and I certainly want to thank you for coming on the air this morning and discussing this. John Zmirak, he's been a good friend of this program, and I hope he'll continue to come back with more future great writings and also explanation of his writings. John, thanks. God bless. Come back soon.
Thanks, Deb. You too.
All right, sir. Wow. And he's right. Everything he said in here is right. Everything he said and mentioned in his article about the craziness, the insanity that's going on in our world right now, especially in our country. You can kind of pick who you want to be. Well, I want to be Roy Rogers today, and I want to be Dale Evans tomorrow. This is crazy. This gender picking and choosing. Well, I want to be this, and then tomorrow I'll change. And like he said, I have said this before he even wrote the article. I will not call Bruce Jenner by any other word. I will not refer to him as his chosen female name. I won't do it. I'm not going to adhere to that filth, that sleaze in our society. I'm not going to do it on this program. You can call me any name you want to, but I will not do it. I'm going to call a spade, and the way things are, that's the way I'm going to call them on this show. And this accepting and saying, well, I'm going to be this today, and I'm going to be that tomorrow, and I'm going to pick one of the 47 genders that are available in New York City. Not on my program, you're not. We've got to get a weather forecast in here, and the weather's brought to you this hour by Phillips, Oakes, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And they have been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. Absolutely the best. They really can help people that are starting a business or creating a partnership or a corporation, business owners that want to hire more employees. They really have sound advice to help you. And the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, financial statement preparation, business consulting, all of this and more at Phillips, Oakes, Goodwin, Crane, and Company with offices in Burley and Rupert. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Going to be warm for today and tomorrow, but as we get closer to the weekend, looks like we have a cooling trend. Looks like mostly sunny skies for today, high of 89 with an overnight low of 57. Sunny and 92 for tomorrow with an overnight low of 57, partly cloudy 86 for Thursday. By Friday, we do have a 50% chance of rain showers in the forecast. Winds are going to be picking up, high of 70 with an overnight low of 46. Then for the weekend, looks like partly to mostly cloudy skies. Highs are going to be in the mid-60s. That's your weather for Zeb at the Rain.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you. And brought to you by Phillips, Oakes, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Locations at 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. And they can help you and are looking forward to serving you. Give them a call or stop in today. Phillips, Oakes, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Zeb. Hey, you mean you're not going to let me be a flagpole or a toaster?
What?
Well, you said you're not going to let me be anything but what I am. That means I can't be a flagpole or a toaster.
Jerry, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it again in half jest and in almost 99% sincerity. I don't believe in mocking God. God made you a man or God made you a female. That is God's choice. And for us to try to change things and have this idiotic feeling of transgenderism, it's absolutely pathetic, and I think it's sacrilegious.
And you know something? You're absolutely right.
And I will never on this program adhere to calling someone by their chosen gender or name. You either are or you're not.
Okay, I'm just being a character today. I think you know that. You know me pretty well.
Well, just don't let anybody plug you in and put piece of whatever bread. To be careful.
I hope not.
All right.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right.
I couldn't resist.
God bless you, man. Thank you. This society is just such a mess, and we're letting it happen. We're letting our kids get involved in this mess. We should be parents and say no. Not only no, but heck no. There's got to be some rules. There has to be guidelines. There has to be right. There has to be wrong. There has to be black. There has to be white. There can't be the commingling. Oh, well, we're going to mix this up a little bit. It's going to be gray. Oh, well, we're going to take right and wrong, and we're going to, whoop, there goes something in the middle. No! And I don't care if I get drummed off the radio. I don't care if they have a major movement to try to get all my sponsors to leave me. I'm going to say it the way it is. And I'm going to say it the way it should be. That may not be appealing to some people that think, oh, well, I think I can be, like Jerry said, a lamppost or a flagpole, or today I'm going to be a little pony. Not on my program, you're not. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The transgenders in our society, many of which live here in the Magic Valley, they've sent me snide little emails and threats and everything else, which, honestly, they make me smile because they're so inept and they're so insane and they're so ridiculous. That's the word. They are so ridiculous. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. The number to call and find out more information for your loved ones, 436-3200. They make every effort to make Autumn Haven the best place. I mean this. They invite the public to visit their facility anytime and go on tours and check them out. As I've said, they're the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cassia area. Call them today and stop in. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Number to call, 436-3200. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. All right, it's your turn. Don't weaken on me. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, Susan Rice has had her hand in the cookie jar on numerous occasions for telling lies, promoting lies, and half-truths, and she's back at it again. This woman is one of the most vile, untrusting women ever in politics or the public eye. I absolutely denounce her. I absolutely detest her. And she, from the Obama administration, coming out and saying that, oh, well, we need to be, like the guy last night on Tucker Carlson, we need to be so much more loving. And we need to be so much more friendly to the people that are coming in here on our dime. And we should codify the Muslims and let them into the United States to live and choose the culture and everything that they want. They're saying to the rest of us, you know, to heck with the American culture. To heck with assimilation. To heck with our Constitution and our values. To heck with our laws. Oh, let's just let them in. Come on, it's a big country. If they want to have the imposition of Sharia law, let them have the way that they're used to living. Bunk. Bogus. And any other word that starts with a B. It's time to put the hammer down and say enough is enough. It's time to put the hammer down and say, I don't care who you are, who you think you are, these are the rules and you're going to follow them. If not, get the heck out of Dodge City. Don't let the door hit you in the posterior on the way out. We've got to wake up, folks. There's a lot of bad people coming here. that want to do bad things and transition America into a third world, third-rate country. Wake up. Smell the coffee. They're out there. Get off the soapbox for a few minutes, Zeb. Okay. And we'll tell everybody real quick about Ag Express. Ag Express is looking for drivers. Yes, they are. And they're looking for full and part-time positions. Even retired folks. If you're retired and want a job 2 or 3 days a week, oh boy, they're looking for you. You're home every night using new and maintained equipment, vacation schedules, benefit programs, including major medical, dental, and vision. Oh my goodness. 401k plans, check it out. Ag Express, call Dale and Paul at 438-8886. Allen in Twin Falls, 731-2495. Russ in Burley at 431-7175. Ag Express is looking for drivers. Ag Express is looking for you. You be sure and give them a call today. Coming up next half hour is Dr. History, and he's already raided my refrigerator, has a bottle of water in hand, and he's standing out there talking to Deanne. And following that, then at 10:30, we've had a change and a swap in the order. We're going to have Charlie Drevna. And Charlie Drevna knows all about fuels and energy in this country. He's the president and CEO of Fueling U.S. Forward. Going to be very interesting with him at 10:30 this morning. Right now, we're going to send it back over to Wheels to play some music and take us up to CBS News. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. We're back, and we'd better be sounding better. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. These people are the best. Along with some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call 734-6969. I'm not going to waste any time because I can't wait to introduce him. He's in the studio, and next week he's going to go fishing with his family up at one of my favorite places, Henry's Lake. Good morning, Dr. History.
Good morning, Zeb. How you doing?
Oh, I'm jealous.
I know. Yeah. Well, you can come with us.
Well, promise?
Well,
what would
sure.
you use me for, the anchor?
Well, not bait.
Oh, thank you, Doc. You know, we've had some interesting stories the last couple of weeks about wagon trains and living in the Old West and what they ate and what they didn't eat, etc. But now we're going to talk about dental hygiene and the caring of their teeth. Did they, the old pioneers, did they care about their teeth?
You will know more in the next half hour.
More than I want to know?
Probably.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, before we get going, though, I need to put a plug. I actually did an interview last Tuesday with some people called the HorseRadioNetwork.com.
Oh.
Have you ever heard of them?
I have.
And anyway, they're kind of the leading podcasters in the horse world.
Yep.
And I was interviewed by Glenn and Helena on one of the podcasts called Stable Scoop.
Oh, really?
And
that's an interesting name.
Stable Scoop.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to thank them for the opportunity to be on their show for a little while there.
Well, that's good.
Anyway.
That's good. Where are they based out of? I can't remember.
You know, it's back east because I know they were 2 hours ahead of me.
And they're listening to our show.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they do.
Well, the Stable Scoop, get out here and clean out my stables.
All right, so here we go.
All right.
Last week we talked about Indian health, Indian medicine.
Yeah, they knew a lot more than we give them credit for.
Yes, and dentistry, maybe not so much. Okay, so here we go.
Are you saying that there were a lot of Indians that were gumming it?
Not only Indians, yeah, all of them.
Okay.
But, you know, in the Old West, it could be really rough place without proper medical and dental care. And when dental problems did arise, both Indians and settlers were forced to address them in a number of innovative ways.
Innovative ways.
And that's a good way to put it.
Like a war club to the jaw?
Well, that was one way.
Oh, gee.
But, you know, gum disease and tooth decay were dealt with in Indian country by several means. Now, one was the use of the medicine man, and he was called in to exorcise the diseased, quote, diseased spirits from the afflicted party. I'm sure that was effective. Observing one such ceremony in 1855 was the Reverend William Leach. And
Leach?
Leach.
Bad name.
He wrote about a Pawnee medicine man and who, quote, danced around the patient in a semicircle, rattling a gourd. He took a small stone knife and cut an X on Running Wolf's cheek. That was the Indian.
Running Wolf.
Directly over the throbbing tooth. He sucked at the cut lightly.
Oh!
Pretended to draw out the fang.
Oh!
Then dashed it into the fire. And then he said, quote, the evil spirits cannot use it again. He said triumphantly.
Can we talk about something else this morning? This has got me cringing.
Oh, we're just getting started.
Oh, thanks.
So now, in a more scientific vein, the Indians also employed various herbs, roots, grasses, which were sometimes heated and then placed on the offending tooth, much like a poultice or a salve.
Well, that doesn't sound so stupid, though.
And like we've said, they probably forgot more things that we know about.
Okay.
So now settlers, however,
oh boy,
they employed several avenues of dealing with their dental problems. Many opted for the do-it-yourself method, seeking relief through the myriad of patent medicines that were religiously sold throughout the West.
What they do is tie a string to a wagon wheel?
Well, it doesn't mention that here. Okay. But a lot of the dental patent medicines contained acids, abrasive substances, alcohol, and or narcotics such
one
as...
of them doesn't sound that bad.
No. Heroin, cocaine, morphine. You know, if you got a toothache...
Oh, my.
You know...
Yeah, but it was a short-term fix, though.
Well, you know, by that time you didn't care.
No. Okay.
So, now one such product was Mrs. Winslow's Soothing Syrup.
Oh, do you remember her? We went to school with their daughters. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was intended to quiet a fretful child during the teething process.
I see.
But it also contained generous levels of alcohol and morphine sulfate, which could cause coma, addiction, or death in an infant.
Oh, you're really making this sound good.
Oh, yeah, well, you know, when you got a toothache...
Can you imagine their TV ad and the disclaimer?
Don't do this at home.
All right.
So anyway, in addition to the often dangerous patent medicines, there was an array of dental quack devices, which were also used by settlers. One of the most popular products of the era was Dr. Scott's electric toothbrush. Now, you thought that was...
Wait a minute. Electric?
Yeah, you thought that was just in the modern day, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's Dr. Scott's electric toothbrush.
What'd they hook it up to?
I don't know. But its special handle was supposedly charged with an electromagnetic current which acts immediately upon the nerves and tissues of the teeth and gums, arresting decay and restoring the natural whiteness of the enamel. Now, of course, Dr. Scott's contraption, of course, was an outright fraud, bearing absolutely no resemblance to today's electric toothbrushes.
You got my face all messed up. It's cringing in pain.
Oh, we're still going, Sam.
Oh, yeah.
Now, extraction, okay?
Oh, no.
Here we go. That was the mainstay of the Old West dental treatment, and offending teeth were pulled by anyone who could reasonably handle a pair of tongs. The list included barbers, blacksmiths, druggists, physicians, and at least one famous author, Jack London.
Wasn't the barbershop known for being a dentist shop originally?
Actually, in Europe, I think it was actually even surgeries.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but, you know, there's a number of modern dental practices that did emerge in the Old West as a result of advancing technology. If one were fortunate enough to find such a practice, it probably would have featured the following. Okay, now picture this.
I don't want to picture this.
No, this is good. This is okay.
All right.
Okay, so you walk into a dentist's office in the old days, and if you were lucky, he would have a reclining chair.
Uh-huh.
He would have an array of dental instruments or tools.
Okay.
A self-cleaning spittoon.
Self-cleaning.
So water must be
water
running.
is going around in circles.
Yeah. A foot treadle or electric-powered drill. You know, they used to have like a treadle sewing machine.
You said drill, though.
Yeah. So they treadle, move it, and that spins the drill.
What if he stops treadling?
The drill stops. And then they had an anesthetic, which was nitrous oxide.
I thought you were going to say it was a Louisville Slugger.
No. So now let's talk about some famous people. in dentistry. Okay, and who's the first one you think of?
Doc Holliday.
Exactly.
Doc Holliday.
Yeah. So, famed gunfighter John Henry, Doc Holliday, 1851 to 1887.
Came out of Georgia.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, he was undoubtedly the Old West's most famous dentist. He was, in fact, a trained professional dentist.
That's right.
Earning his degree in 1872 from Pennsylvania College of Dental Surgery.
But he was born and raised, I believe, in Georgia.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah. But one of Holliday's greatest accomplishments took place during his first year of dental school.
Oh, boy.
Here, he actually made a gold crown for a 6-year-old girl, which reportedly lasted until 1967, when the patient died at age 102.
Really?
Now, can you imagine that? A filling or a gold crown that lasted for, 98 years, 96?
Wow.
And also during that first year, the young Holliday performed 38 tooth extractions, 32 fillings, and following graduation, Doc Holliday moved to Dallas, Texas, and he opened his own dental practice at a place called 56 Elm Street. And by most accounts, Holliday proved to be a highly skilled, thoroughly, largely a successful dentist for a little while.
Then he took to gambling and gunfighting. Yeah.
I mean, he developed tuberculosis, alcohol, gambling. He died at age 36.
Yeah, he was a young man.
Yeah, 36, buried in Glenwood Springs, Colorado.
Yeah.
Now, this is one you're going to enjoy, Zeb.
I bet.
Clay Allison.
Oh, yeah.
You've heard of Clay.
I have.
Now, Old West dentistry could be dangerous, for both the patient and the practitioner.
Uh-oh.
In Wyoming Territory in 1886, notorious gunfighter Clay Allison was a little mad that a dentist had mistakenly extracted the wrong tooth.
Wait a minute. The wrong tooth?
The wrong tooth, okay? So picture this.
I don't want to.
Allison returned to the scene of the, quote, crime. Here, the crazy Allison grabbed a pair of forceps and proceeded to pull out one of the doctor's own teeth.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, Allison was prevented only from doing further damage by some people that were passing by and heard the dentist yelling for help.
Well, wouldn't you?
Yeah, especially if Clay Allison's guy.
He pulled out one of the dentist's good teeth.
Yeah. So, you didn't want to make the wrong person mad if you were a dentist or a doctor or any of those guys.
Wow.
So now let's talk about George Washington. Okay.
Oh, we're going to go way back.
We're going to go way back.
Oh.
And, it's historically correct that he suffered from problems with his teeth throughout his life.
He had bad breath.
He didn't have any teeth. He lost his first adult tooth when he was 22, and he had only one left by the time he became president. And John Adams claims he lost them because he used to crack Brazil nuts with his teeth.
They call him Old Snaggle.
I guess. One tooth. But, modern historians suggest that there was some stuff called mercury oxide, which was given to treat illnesses like smallpox and malaria.
Yeah.
And probably they think that contributed to the loss of his teeth.
Lost all of his teeth?
Yeah. But he had several sets of false teeth made.
Wouldn't it have been interesting to hear his State of the Union message?
He wouldn't be laughing a lot.
Right.
So he had several sets of false teeth made, 4 of them by a dentist named John Greenwood.
Yeah.
Now, contrary to popular belief, none of the sets were made from wood.
I thought they were.
Yeah, and that's been a common misconception.
Really?
They were not made
So
of wood.
You are clearing the record this morning.
I am clearing up the record. George Washington had no wooden teeth.
Well, what did they make them out of?
I'm going to tell you.
I thought you never would.
The set made when he became president was actually carved from hippopotamus and elephant ivory, held together with gold springs. Now, what it looked like, I have not a clue. Now, the hippo ivory was used for the plate into which human teeth, quite possibly from slaves, and bits of horses' and donkeys' teeth were inserted. Okay, are you with me?
I don't know if I want to be. I know my furrow in my brow is just to the point where, what in the world are you talking about?
Okay, but consider this, Zeb. Dental problems left Washington in constant pain.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, and he took laudanum, which was a painkiller back then.
Yeah.
And this distress may be apparent in a lot of the portraits painted while he was still in office.
He kind of held his jaw real stiff.
Just look at a $1 bill. That's where he
You've got all the money. You're going on vacation, not me.
All those $1 bills are going to be gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you got a picture there for me?
No, but I'm going to go back even a little farther than the Old
George
West.
Washington?
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
So, now let's say you lived back in the Middle Ages. Okay.
You
and
Neanderthal.
that was when the barber, as we mentioned, was also a surgeon. And they performed bloodletting to fix a toothache. Now, you recall bloodletting was even up into the 1800s. They would bleed horses, pigs, cows, people, because they thought that
So they'd go to town and they'd say, I got a toothache, but then they'd cut them open and let them bleed.
Yeah. Which obviously was the wrong thing to do.
Well, obviously.
So, but, and humans have always experienced dental problems, and the modern dentistry dates back to what I was just saying, in the mid-1800s. Now, let's go back a little farther.
Oh, sure.
Okay. I got to have a drink.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to need one after this program.
Well, okay, so the ancient Greeks, Romans, and Egyptians, they all used various toothache remedies, including extractions, and many of the ancient civilizations believed that toothaches were caused by a, quote, tooth worm twisting inside the tooth.
Oh.
Okay? Now, to get rid of both the worm and the ache, a delicious concoction of, are you ready for this?
No.
Here it comes. Boiled spiders, eggs, and oil were applied to the tooth, and it almost makes Novocaine sound appealing, doesn't it? That was just one. Okay, we're going to go a little further, Zeb. Here we go.
Why am I subjecting myself to this?
I don't know. You asked for it.
You know how afraid of dentists I am.
Me too. Okay, so the ancient Greeks, they prized white teeth, especially among men. So to get a bright smile, they used pumice, talcum, emery, granulated alabaster, which I'm not sure what that is, powdered coral, and iron rust on their teeth.
How did they figure out to use that stuff?
I'm wondering, who's the first guy that said, hey, I'm going to try this stuff?
Yeah, I'm going to try some powdered rust. Martha, go get my powdered rust.
So now the Greek physician Hippocrates, he gave his patients a concoction made, okay, here we go, 3 mice and a burned rabbit's head to brush your teeth with. Oh, let's just keep going, Zeb. Ancient Rome, where they cleaned their teeth with powders made from ground antlers, hooves, crabs, eggshells, and lizard livers. Are you okay, Zeb? We're going to keep going, whether you are or not, right? Okay.
For once, I have nothing to say.
I noticed that. Okay, we're going to go to China now.
Oh,
okay.
I can't wait.
Okay.
Land the plane.
Yeah. An ancient Chinese cure favored garlic as a toothache remedy. Okay. Mixed with horseradish and human milk, which were then made into a paste. Then the paste was rolled into pills and stuck up the patient's nostrils on the side opposite the toothache. Oh, you're loving this, I can tell. Well,
I want to issue an apology to all my sponsors that are food-related coming into lunch.
Well, we're not done with the Chinese. Okay, the Chinese were onto something. There is evidence of acupuncture treatment in China.
Oh, yeah.
And we know that, that has a place.
Oh, yeah.
To combat the pain of toothaches as early as 2700 BC.
Yep.
Now, by AD 659, the Chinese were actually filling cavities with a mixture of silver, tin, and mercury, which is really similar to what has been used in Western dentistry.
Yeah.
So they were onto something.
Oh, they were really high rollers.
Yeah. Now, let's go back to Rome.
Okay.
The Roman physician Pliny the Elder.
Who?
Pliny the Elder.
Oh,
Surely you know of Pliny.
Oh, yeah. He was listening while Rome fiddled, and Nero fiddled and Rome burned. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. You better stick to the Old West.
Yeah.
So, to stop a toothache, bite on a piece of wood from a tree struck by lightning.
Well, what if you can't find one?
Well, too bad. Touch the tooth with the frontal bone of a lizard taken during the full moon. He also suggested that his patients find a frog by the light of the full moon, spit into its mouth, and say, quote, "Frog, go and take my toothache with thee."
You know, Dr. History, I know you don't drink, but what were you doing last night when you found all this stuff?
Oh, I was just chuckling.
Oh.
I knew how much you'd love this.
I'm going back to that paste made out of the 3 mice. You got to be kidding me.
Oh, man. Okay, so let's go a little earlier.
Oh,
okay.
yeah, I can't wait.
So the colonists, they turned to other teeth specialists or even friends and neighbors if they had a toothache. Silversmith and revolutionary Paul Revere.
Oh, yeah, good old Paul.
In fact, he was an amateur dentist, and a lot of colonists visited him.
One if by land, two if by sea.
Right. And Revere did fillings and cleanings and made bridges and actually made false teeth. So, he was okay, not bad.
Uh-huh.
But now let's go. We're just going all over the world here. We're going to go to the Mayans now in Mexico.
Can't wait.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, they decorated their teeth with inlays of precious metals and gems. They actually... So...
How did they stick them to their teeth?
I don't know. They must have some kind of super glue. But the Chinese women during the 2nd and 3rd centuries dyed their teeth pure black with a mixture of natural chemicals.
Oh, how'd you like to meet that on a blind date?
Yeah, smile.
Oh, my goodness.
So, anyway, there's a group of people called the tooth drawers. Okay, they weren't called dentists; they were called tooth drawers.
I'm glad this program's almost over.
We're almost done, Zeb. Now, they roamed from town to town throughout the 18th century in Europe and America, and on entering a new town, they would gather a crowd and brag about their pain-free work. They would pick a volunteer from the audience. The tooth drawer would open the person's mouth, and in a matter of seconds, pull out a bloodied tooth. The volunteer swore there was no pain.
Uh-huh.
Of course, the volunteer was a shill, was the tooth drawer's partner.
Yeah.
And the already extracted tooth covered in animal blood had been hidden in the tooth drawer's hand all along. So after the crowd saw how gentle the tooth drawer supposedly was, he had some real customers who writhed in agony as the tooth drawer yanked and jerked, sometimes breaking the victim's jaw or worse. But the crowd didn't hear the cries of the real patients because the tooth drawers were accompanied by noisy musicians. Once the actual procedure began, so the patient's cries were drowned out by these musicians, and the tooth drawers immediately left town before infection could set in on their unfortunate people.
And that's how the Beatles got their start.
I don't know where that came from, but oh man,
oh my gosh, that really, honestly, look at me, my hands are sweating. Where did you find all that stuff?
Well, I'll show you in a minute. Do you want to hear just a little bit more?
You got 2 minutes.
Okay.
I can't wait for the 2 minutes to be up.
The Greeks probably used opium as a painkiller. The Romans applied pickled root of chrysanthemum to gums to deaden pain, and this had a side effect of destroying and loosening the membrane and the fibers holding the teeth in place. So you lost the tooth, but you were trying to fix. Now, another popular painkiller potion in Roman times combined opium, celandine, which is something from poppies, and saffron. They're just... Now, here's another one. I'm going to finish up with this one.
I hope so.
There was a painkiller method. It was applying pressure to the carotid arteries in the neck, which would slow blood flow and put a person unconscious.
It'll kill you.
And this deadly painkiller often led to permanent unconsciousness. Now, Zeb, I'm going to show you this book because I know you're going to want to get it.
It's called Uncle John's... Uncle John's Bathroom Reader Plunges into History Again. And that's where you got all this dental wisdom.
I got some of it from the internet, too.
Oh. So, I can't tell you how much I really didn't appreciate this program.
Hey, you asked for it.
I know.
You got it.
I don't want it, man. I tell you what, I was cringing. 3 mice?
Oh, gosh.
That was disgusting.
But did you ever see that show with Tom Hanks where he was...
marooned on the island.
Yeah, and he knocked out his own tooth with an ice skate.
I know.
And anybody who's ever had a toothache, one of the most miserable things. What do?
You have totally destroyed a very attentive audience.
I should have had a precursor or
a disclaimer?
Yeah, disclaimer. That's what I said.
I'll give you one next time.
With a weak stomach, don't listen.
Oh, my gosh. Hey, real quick, you're going to be gone next week.
Yes.
You're going to be fishing.
Yeah.
Lucky dog.
For a couple of days.
And we're going to have a guy on that's going to be talking about the Buntline Special, Wyatt Earp's gun, supposedly.
Right.
And the development of the Buntline and other guns. His name is Sam Walker, and he is from Reno.
Samuel Colt Walker.
Samuel Colt Walker, yeah, so he knows a little bit about the gun manufacturing. Yeah. And he's from Reno, Nevada.
I believe that's right.
And we're going to have him on the air in place of you next week. And I can bet $1,000 he's not going to talk about 3 dead mice for dental hygiene.
You never know. You might throw something in there.
Get out of here today. That's the first time I've ever told you that. Oh, my goodness.
Well,
honestly,
we got through that.
Have a good time fishing.
I will.
And be sure and take pictures so I can realize the truth of the big one that got away.
Yeah, I may have to go into a grocery store to get a good picture.
Okay. Dr. History. Woo, that just made me cringe this morning with all of his dental hygiene. We're going to send this back over to our main studios right now, and we will be back like Arnold Schwarzenegger in just about 3 minutes. Don't go away.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you much. Thank you kindly. And we're into our last half hour. We'll have our guest on in just a moment. I want to also say thank you to 2 wonderful businesses that bring the Cassia County School Days segment to our program every Thursday at 10:10, and they are Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley, and they've got all the different Cherokee scrubs and the shoes, and they've got hundreds and hundreds of new summer dresses, save 20%, all of this and more at a family store, and that's a Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley, along with the Ambulatory Surgery Center for your outpatient surgeries and save you money. That's right, cataract and glaucoma surgery, and of course life-saving colonoscopy and so much more. Call them and find out about how they can serve you. Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley, 677-8888. Thank you very much to A Child's World and Ambulatory Surgery Center. We've had this man on the program before. He's really good at what he knows and how to tell everybody about energy, and that's Charlie Drevna, and he's the president and CEO of Fueling U.S. Forward, formerly the president of American Fuel and Petrochemical Manufacturers. Whew, that's a mouthful. Good morning, Charlie. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Glad to be back with you.
What have you been doing in the long interim since I've had you on this program? Making all kinds of money and supporting Donald Trump, or tell us what's going on in your world?
No, as you mentioned, I retired as president of the association, and we started up this project a couple of years ago, trying just to educate the public on energy, all energy issues, trying to inform people about how energy and abundant, reliable, and affordable energy makes everyone's lives better, not only in the United States but globally, and that energy, all forms of it, have pluses and minuses, and we're just trying to educate the folks on what's real and what's not.
You know, Charlie, I got to tell you that you must have a thankless job, because right now with the millennial generation, right now with some of these dingbat professors at major colleges and universities, you must be really facing an uphill battle.
Well, I can appreciate that, Zeb, but you know what? As what we found is that it's not that people are so anti. It's just that they haven't been told. I mean, I've done this all my life, but other people, they got jobs too, and they got kids to feed and get to school, and their jobs to go to, and this is not a concern of theirs all the time. And you believe what you sometimes hear. So it's our job, and, I was critical of my own industry back when I was the president of the association, that, for years and years, we've let other people define who we are. And so I think now it's not that people are anti, it's just that they're not informed, and that's not their fault. So it's our job to help inform people.
Charlie, let me ask you this, and I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this question, but today, with the leave it in the ground crowd and those that think anything that is energy means progress, and progress means that the human being is going to be at the forefront, and we have those on the environmental side that want humans to just fade off into the horizon and turn everything back into a natural state. I mean, we've got a real education problem in this country, don't we?
We do, and again, it's it's up to people like us to help get this movement going. Because when you really boil it down, Zeb, it's free enterprise, and free enterprise to me it's a virtuous cycle of mutual benefit that really drives technological innovation and human progress. And what does that that results in unprecedented levels of prosperity and equality. Now, how did we get there? I believe, and again, I'm an unabashed supporter of fossil fuels. I believe that fossil fuels have driven this nation and others to these unprecedented levels of prosperity and equality. If you're a leave it in the ground proponent, what on earth, and I'm putting earth in quotes here, on or under, what on earth is going to continue to the development of the human species? With the continued development of communities and families. I'm not against other forms of energy. I just think people have to understand what they mean and what they don't mean. What I'm adamantly opposed to is the government, and I know you and I have had this conversation before, the federal government or state governments attempting to pick winners and losers in the marketplace. Because if you look at the track record, they have a great propensity for picking the losers.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's much to the detriment of the citizenry. So, again, we're looking at an energy revolution here in the United States. Remember, Zeb, 10, 12 years ago, we were all sitting around and lamenting the fact, or at least the assumption that we were an energy poor nation, that we were going to be held hostage to foreign governments who don't have our best interests at heart, and we have to have all this other stuff that's going to bring us into the 21st century. Well, if anything happened along the way, it's called American ingenuity and innovation. And with hydraulic fracturing, with the development of oil and gas reserves that we never thought we could develop and produce economically, we are now an energy superpower. But for those who had a different vision, they refused to accept it, and now we're fighting over, well, gee, do we want to use the abundant, reliable, and affordable energy we have, or do we want to cede everything to other countries and again become subservient to them? It boggles my mind. Again, I have nothing against wind and solar; they may have a place, but it's not going to bring us to economic prosperity, and certainly not going to enhance and develop families and communities and the nation in the way that we deserve to be developed.
Charlie, you might think I'm way off base on this statement, but as you were talking, I was thinking that in order to turn and transition the minds of the millennial generation and some of these college professors, etc., we have to, in this country, I think, re-implement and restore a work ethic, a ethic to people that they want to go out and succeed. They want to use the tools and talents that God gave them to be successful. And with a restoration of a work ethic, they will see the value of a good energy program, a sound energy program that will make progress for all Americans that want to put their best foot forward. Does that make sense?
It does, Zeb, absolutely. I don't know where we went. I was listening to a program driving home the other day, and it was talking about the only 43% of college kids these days have summer jobs. And when I was growing up, my goodness, if you didn't have a summer job, you were something was wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's a lack of initiative or it's a lack of opportunity or somewhere in between, but we've got, the other thing that comes to mind too is let's just challenge everyone who is the leave it in the ground crowd. Let's challenge everyone. Go 1 or 2 days without using clean, reliable, abundant energy.
Right.
That means oil, natural gas, or coal. And and I'm just not talking about flipping on the lights. I'm saying put down the cell phone so as you're walking down the street, you're not bumping into people while you're texting. Put down the computer. Everything we touch. Drinking water out of a plastic bottle. Everything we touch, everything we do, and just about has started with abundant, reliable, affordable energy, 85% provided by fossil fuels. So, if we think we're going to transform the country or the world by going on from fossil fuels to some other form of energy that just can't compete, whether with or without tax dollars, is fraught with problems. So again, all we're trying to do is say, look, it's a lot of it's our own fault. We have to educate folks. We have to allow them to make their choices. If they want the choices, fine. If you want to buy an electric vehicle, hey, the Lord bless you. But understand, you shouldn't be getting tax breaks for it.
Absolutely.
And understand that these things aren't zero emissions like the front license plate on some of these vehicles have. They're far from it. So again, an educated public is just that, an educated public who can make choices. But for goodness sakes, once and for all, can we get the government out of dictating winners and who's going to win and who's going to lose?
When you mentioned that about the electric vehicles,
makes absolutely no sense.
Absolutely. And you talk about subsidies to the green power, etc., and then that leads me to billionaire Elon Musk and also Tom Steyer's and others. And it always seems like they've had preferential treatment to further their ideas and their goals that really are going to line their own pockets. What about Elon Musk? What about his association with Trump? What about the Trump administration? Where are we at, in your opinion, right now with them?
Well, I don't fault Mr. Musk for doing what he's doing. He's done everything legally. I mean, there's no. Do I agree with it politically? Absolutely not. But he has taken advantage of the system that the system has provided. I think it's wrong. I understand just recently that he came out and said he doesn't need subsidies anymore. Well, I don't think he's doing it because for altruistic reasons. I think he's seeing a competitive advantage now that his vehicle sold population is fast approaching that 200,000 vehicle mark, where the $7,500 federal subsidies and the $2,500 state subsidies will begin to disappear, where his competitors aren't there yet. So, I was opposed to subsidies, 5, 6, 7 years ago. He's just opposed to them now. So I'm glad I'm glad he's coming along to our side, but I don't think it's for the same reason.
Right.
Again, I don't. With the president pulling us out of the Paris climate agreement, I think that this morning I saw where EPA Administrator Pruitt had the best line about it that I've heard. That deal, and I'll put deal in quotes here, that thing was all hat and no cattle. The only thing it was going to do was force us to. It was a huge transfer of wealth from rich nations to poorer nations, and it wasn't going to impact the climate one iota. Whether you believe in CO2 impacting the climate or don't, it didn't matter. This thing wasn't going to impact it one iota. But if the goal is to reduce CO2 emissions, and I'm not saying it should or shouldn't be, but if that's the goal, there are a heck of a lot cheaper ways to do it than by mandating electric vehicles. EPA itself has said, and others studies have said, if you want to use the most expensive way on a dollar per ton basis of reducing CO2, that's through electric vehicles. So there you go. We're giving Tesla owners whose the Los Angeles Times has written that said their median income is $280,000. Now that's 280 and 3 more zeros the last time I did my math. And do you really think that those folks need a $7,500 tax credit?
That's right.
While others are struggling, to paycheck to paycheck, or even worse, to keep food on the table and their kids in school and everything else. It's a travesty. It's an absolute travesty. So let's hope that the Trump administration takes a look at all this stuff when they come up with their tax proposals, and let's get rid of all these subsidies for everybody.
Right.
And everybody can compete. And if wind and solar and electric vehicles can compete in a free and open market, hey, so be it. Fantastic. But let's not try to skew the economic. I mean, I know, previous administrations and even in Congress, they try to amend laws or pass laws every day, but there are certain laws that can't be amended, and those are called the laws of thermodynamics, physics, chemistry, and economics. And I think once people realize that you cannot or should not amend those laws and let the free market decide who's going to win and who's going to lose in the marketplace, we're going to be a better place, and it's going to be better for everyone, just not for a certain few.
Charlie,
that's what we're about, Seb. All we want to do is educate people on how energy is so vital to everything they do, and not even from the time you get up to the time you go to bed, but for the whole 24-hour day, 7-day a week, 365 days a year.
Absolutely.
Everything we do, it begins and ends with energy.
Absolutely. Charlie, one final thought here as we draw closer to the end of the segment, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. This is just off the cuff on my part, but our electrical grids in this country are severely stressed now. And with the advent of more of the electric vehicles, more electric usage, the electric charging stations, etc., I don't see how, without innovative ideas on how to replenish and replace the electricity that's being used, I don't see how in the world we can look at automobiles, for instance, as a wave of the future when our grid is just barely stressed to meeting capacity right now.
It's stressed to meeting capacity. There's no question. You talk to any utility executive throughout the country, it's going to need a vast upgrade. But what we can't do is have these, wind and solar as people are going to believe it's going to be their primary source. Well, the old adage, the sun sets and the wind dies. You're still going to need base load power to keep everything operating, and it's a strain on the electrical grid system to say, okay, we're going to get this much from wind and this much from solar today. Oh, tomorrow we're not going to get any, or tonight we're not going to get any. We got to have a base load. So you still have to have a base load power plant that has connections to a reliable grid, and we're not focusing on that as a nation right now. And I think as the population grows and as look, and I hope you bear with me here a second, Zeb. You think about the electricity it takes to power a data center.
Right.
Okay. It's funny. All these folks who, all the computers and all that, they're not putting their data centers in where electricity costs are high. They're putting their data centers in good old areas where fossil fuels are still the dominant force of providing electricity because it's the cheapest. And these data centers and our computers and our cell phones, as we go forward, they're going to require more and more and more electrical power. And where are we going to get it from?
Absolutely.
You can have the best system in the world. If you can't get it from point A to point B, what good is it?
Absolutely.
That's where the grid upgrade comes in. So we've got problems that we have to look at and handle. But the worst way to handle it is to try to dictate and mandate and tax break certain entities that absolutely make no sense.
I would imagine, Charlie, and I don't mean to bring in partisan politics to this morning, but I think it has to be brought into the conversation somewhat, that had Hillary won the election and is president currently, there would have been some drastic changes that would have created much more negativity. With the Trump administration, I feel as a taxpayer that we have some hope for a better energy future than we would have had the Democrats assumed the office. What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't want to be get into partisan politics either, but I can just tell you two things about that. Mrs. Clinton told a bunch of coal miners she was going to put them out of business, and Mr. Trump said we're going to get the coal industry back, and we're going to develop, we're going to permit the Keystone and the Dakota pipelines. I think that says the yin and the yang of what would have happened.
Absolutely. I really respect this man. He's the president and CEO of Fueling Us, the United States Forward. Charlie Drevna, a good friend of this show, and I'm going to have you back more often. Thank you, sir. God bless you.
All right, Jeb, you take care.
Thank you very, very much. Really enjoy his straightforward approach, and he knows energy better than anybody else, I think, and I appreciate him being on this program. Charlie Drevna, President and CEO of Fueling Us, the United States Forward. Absolutely. Oh, boy, we got to get a weather forecast on here. Wheels is sitting there going, Zeb. Hey, the weather brought to you this hour by Scarrows Meats. 331 North Road, Jerome. Easy to find. Telephone number 324-7657. You know, they've got all the different meats. Oh, my goodness. You've got to check out that tax return package for $249 plus tax. About 57 pounds of beef and pork and chicken. Oh, it's absolutely delicious. And try that new buckboard bacon. Leaner and more economical than traditional bacon with several flavors. You're going to love it. Oh, Scarrows Meats, the best. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Going to be warm for today and tomorrow, but as we get closer to the weekend, looks like we have a cooling trend. Looks like mostly sunny skies for today, high of 89 with an overnight low of 57. Sunny and 92 for tomorrow with an overnight low of 57, partly cloudy 86 for Thursday. By Friday, we do have a 50% chance of rain showers in the forecast. Winds are going to be picking up, high of 70 with an overnight low of 46. Then for the weekend, looks like partly to mostly cloudy skies. Highs are going to be in the mid-60s. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Hey, Gina, thank you. And the weather brought to you this hour again by Scarrows Meats. Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. Yes, sirree, they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. I've got time for a couple of calls. Give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Boy, I really appreciate my guests this morning. We had Mike Doherty on, we had Charlie Drevna, we had Dr. History, we had John Zemurek. Really some heavy hitters today. Thank you. I appreciate everybody. Don't forget, coming up this weekend on Saturday, June 10th, I've said this many times, the Minnecasia Relay for Life. And everybody's welcome, and believe me, if you'd like to help out with the funding for this, please do so. Saturday, June 10th from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. at the Burley High School track. And the theme for the Relay for Life this year in fighting cancer is one wish, two wish, you wish, I wish for a cure. And I know that everybody would really appreciate your involvement and help support Relay for Life, Minnecasia Relay for Life, Saturday, June 10th at the Burley High School track. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Now, here's the game plan for tomorrow morning. And sometimes my game plans fall through the cracks, but we are planning on 8:06 to 9 o'clock, of course, having our open forum like we normally do, where we have little stories about what's going on in the world, and then you call in with your opinion. Then at 9:15 tomorrow morning, we are expecting, underline that word, a call from United States Senator Mike Crapo. and he'll be on from 9:15 to about 9:30, and I've got a list of questions already for him to answer. Then we're going to move Dave Bigo from Indianapolis, Indiana, to about 9:30. At 10:30 tomorrow, I'm jumping through the 10:06 hour because right now that I had a person all scheduled, and they had to cancel because of an emergency in the family, so we've got that open. But we're also planning on 10:30 tomorrow to have Dusty Stanley from Stanley Hay Company on. And that is an amazing story of international company that's serving people all around the globe with the best of hay from right here in the Magic Valley. So I'm looking forward to that. Should be a really interesting program tomorrow morning. Right now, I want to say thank you to our major sponsor. They do so much for us, and that's the same as they'll do for you because doing the right thing matters. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, the very best of all your tires for your pickups and your SUVs, your automobiles, horse trailers, boat trailers, whatever you need tires for. And you know what? They've got a free pre-trip safety check, and they'll give a visual inspection of your tires, including the air pressure, wheel alignment to check on tire wear, front-end components, brake components, shocks and struts, battery, including a loading test. I'm telling you, you got to get in there and check it out before you leave on your trip. And the best in brake service, people really know brakes. They've got highly trained technicians serving you at all 7 locations. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. The best. Had a couple of people say, well, how do we get your cow pies and coffee cups, my weekly blog? You go to zebbell.com, follow the arrows and the buttons to click on and everything, put your address on there, and we'll make sure that you get a copy every week of cow pies and coffee cups. And, boy, that thing has really taken off. We've got literally thousands and thousands of people receiving that every week. Thank you. We appreciate your patronage. Tomorrow morning, we will sign on at 8:06. And, of course, thanks to 1230 K-Bar and then also zebbell.com, heard all over the universe. We'll be here and reminding you at 8:06 that the way things were are the way things ought to be. God bless you and your family. Have a great day. Wheels, take care.